investigating a lead in Owl's Head area of Franklin County, New York. We have developed evidence that the suspects may have spent time in a cabin in this area. We have law enforcement officers from around the state and around the nation here today searching for more evidence.
All right, folks, and joining us now is Dan Bongino, Secret Service Presidential Detail Agent, retired, author of Life Inside the Bubble, Why a Top-Ranked Secret Service Agent Walked Away from It All. Dan, welcome back. All right, so let's talk about this case. Just I guess a week or so after the governor of New York said, hey, they could be in Mexico for all we know. Now they have what they're calling DNA evidence that these two escaped prisoners from the Clinton facility in New York State are, about 30 miles, or were just in a cabin 30 miles away from the prison. How do you, what kind of DNA evidence would they, are they talking about?
Well, that could be an ugly question depending on the answer. It's probably saliva, maybe a used cup, discarded food particles. But I'm not surprised they're close. I was always skeptical of any assertion that these guys were in Canada or Mexico. It's not as easy as it seems in the movies to to cross borders, even though it is relatively porous, especially when your pictures have been broadcast everywhere. You have to get a car somehow. You have to get someone to give up that car, break in a car. And in this era of iPhones and security cameras, it would be exceedingly tough to do that. So I'm not surprised, or I wouldn't be surprised if they find these guys relatively close.
What are they, it's hard to speculate, I guess, but what are they eating? How are they living? This probably wasn't their targeted place. Did they escape with food? Did they have a stash that you think they got a hold of, even though the woman never showed up to drive them? Do you believe there was a plan B and someone else picked them up? Or how are they surviving all this time?
Yeah, a lot of times they'll break into cabins. We've seen this a lot with fugitives that disappear into a wood line. There's a lot of cabins out in the woods. They'll break into these cabins. But I think of this with three different ways. You have to think about scent, their needs, and their network. So the scent, the bloodhound tracking is very effective. The problem, Steve, with that kind of a method is, even by the most generous estimates, it's probably only about a week or so before that scent tends to dissipate. And the worst enemy to scent is heat and dry weather. Now, you don't want a downpouring rain either, but a little bit of moisture tends to trap that scent low to the ground, making it easier for the dogs to track these guys. And we've been running out of time on that. Secondly, the needs, you just brought it up, the food, water, things like that. Listen, from my little bit of research on these two fugitives' backgrounds, these guys aren't survivalists here. We're not talking about Green Berets. So they're probably dumpster diving for food, which is my guess. I doubt they're hunting deer in the woods with sticks like, John Rambo in First Blood or something. And finally, their network. How long can these guys refrain from trying to contact friends, family, or anything like that? Remember, they haven't had an unmonitored phone call in decades, these guys.
Right.
So those are the three things they need to focus on.
Yeah, they'd also have to get a hold of a cell phone. All right, quickly, we got a minute and a half left. Your take on South Carolina. The first domino to fall here is the Confederate flag, for better or for worse. And then they're coming after the guns in one way or another too.
Yeah, they're always coming after the guns. They never miss an opportunity, Steve, to do that. I just did another interview on this where I was saying, is there any opportunity for this administration where they'll just pass it up? The answer is no. They'll take it, and what bothers me the most about it, Steve, is they use fictitious created data, and the American public buys it. I mean, how can the president with a straight face go up in front of the microphone and say, this kind of thing doesn't happen in other countries? Did he miss Charlie Hebdo, Norway? I mean, these things have happened over and over again in other countries. Stop demonizing America and make it out like we're a bunch of, gun-wielding psychopaths here. That's not leadership. That's simply propaganda.
Yep, he lies like he breathes, as I've said many, many times, no matter what the issue happens to be. Dan, always great to talk to you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
All right, Dan Bongino. Folks, we're coming back with Gimme 5, but first, the Daily Wrap follows this show every night, 7 p.m. Eastern, and Daily Wrap co-host Rick Unger is joining us now to give us a preview of what's ahead. Always a great watch at 7 p.m. Eastern after the Steve Malzberg Show. So, Rick, what's on tap tonight?
Thanks, Steve. Tonight on The Wrap, America reacts to South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley's announcement that she'll ask her legislature to remove the Confederate battle flag from the state's capital. We'll also take a look at whether other states with a Confederate legacy will follow Haley's lead or stick with their status quo. Then, our focus turns to the discussion gripping the nation since the horrific events in South Carolina nearly 1 week ago, as we ask the question, did American society create Dylann Roof, or is there another explanation for why somebody like Roof would do what he has allegedly done? And as San Francisco High School prepares to offer the nation's first ever gay studies class, we'll have all this and much more tonight on the Daily Wrap, immediately following Malzberg, right here on Newsmax.